What's cooking, guys, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm making this Tres Leches cake, which is a sponge cake that is soaked in 3 different types of milks. That is why it's called Tres Leches. This has to be one of my favorite desserts of all time, so I'm really excited to share it with you. Do consider subscribing if you're new here and you'd like to join my foodie family, and also hit the bell icon so you're notified every time I upload a new video. And now let's get baking. Let's start by preheating the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And while the oven is preheating, I'm going to grease a 9x13 baking dish with some cooking spray oil. Make sure to spray it in the corners and everywhere. You can also use butter instead over here. Set this aside for now and let's make the cake batter. In a medium bowl, I'm going to mix the dry ingredients first. I have all-purpose flour here and I'm using 1 1/4 cups of it. Then I'm also adding 1/4 cup of cornstarch, which will make this cake flour now and have a better cake-like texture at the end. Then I have 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and then mix it with a fork or a whisk to gently add some air into the dry mix, but also combine everything well. Set this aside for now and let's move on to the wet ingredients. In a large bowl, I have 1 stick or 1/2 cup of butter at room temperature, and then I have 3/4 cups of granulated sugar here, and I'm going to mix the butter and sugar together for at least 2 minutes so they can create a nice base for the cake. And after 2 minutes, I'll add in 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Make sure to use a good quality one as always. And I have 5 eggs here that I'll add 1 or 2 at a time, and then mixing it after each addition. I know 5 eggs sounds like a lot, but this is what will give the cake its spongy texture. And don't overmix here, just until the eggs are incorporated, and keep repeating till all the eggs are in there. And now let's add half of the dry ingredients into the wet bowl and mix it well till it's combined. And then I have 1/3 cup of sour cream here to add moistness to the cake batter. You can also use Greek yogurt as a substitute or just regular milk. And mix this again, but never over mixing it. And then end it with the remaining dry ingredients, always starting and ending with the dry mix when you incorporate the dry and wet together to make cake batter. And after this is mixed well, the cake batter is all done, and this is what it will look like. It'll be on the thicker side, but that's okay. Let's pour the cake batter into the prepared baking dish, and this cake batter had that classic yellow cake smell. It was so good. And then even the cake mix out in the pan before putting it in the oven. Now put the cake in the oven for 25 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. After 25 minutes, let's insert a toothpick or knife, and if it comes out clean, it means it's done. So let's take this out of the oven and let it cool before we move on to the next steps. And while the cake is still on the warm side, take a fork or toothpick and make holes in the cake like I'm showing here. I know it looks like we are ruining a perfect looking cake, but this will help the milk absorb in the cake properly, and you won't even notice the holes as you eat it. Make as many holes as you can for proper absorption of the milk later, and you can see how soft that cake looks. Set this aside for now and let it cool. Let's mix the 3 milks. The reason why this cake is called Tres Leches, I will be adding 1 12-ounce can of coconut milk in a large bowl here, and then I have 1/2 cup of regular milk. I have 1 12-ounce can of evaporated milk, and then 1 can of condensed milk. I know I used 4 different types of milk, but the name is Tres Leches, which is 3 milks. It's only because I want to have extra milk mixture to pour on top of the cake later. But if you have additional coconut milk or evaporated milk, you can add an extra 1/2 cup of it. And then gently mix all the milks together till the condensed milk blends in properly with the other milks. Once everything is mixed well, this is your milk mixture, and you can put it in the fridge to let it cool. And while the milk and the cake are cooling down, let me show you how to make toasted coconut. You can take a small baking dish and then take a little sweetened coconut flakes and put it on the baking dish without greasing it, and then put it in the oven for 5 minutes only at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Make sure to check on it periodically so it doesn't burn, and you can also do this on the stovetop in a pan to keep a better eye on it. After about 5 minutes, this is what the coconut will look like. It has that nice golden toasted color and crispy texture, which will be so good with a soft cake. You can set this aside for now as well, and this will be our topping for the cake. And once the cake has cooled down, let's pour the milk mixture on top of it very gently, making sure the entire cake surface is covered and drenched in the milk. I saved about 2 cups of the milk to pour on top of each serving, but this is what the cake will look like. It may seem like the cake is not absorbing the milk at first, but it will slowly go down, and you just have to give it a chance. And you can help this process by taking a knife or fork and gently moving the cake from the sides so the milk can go in the cake and go down. Let this cool on the counter or in the fridge till the milk is fully absorbed. Now while the cake is cooling, I'm gonna make the whipped cream for the topping. I know I've shown how to make this at home many times, but this time I'm adding more ingredients. In a large bowl, I'm adding 1.5 cups of heavy whipping cream. I also have 1/2 cup of powdered sugar and 1 teaspoon of good quality vanilla extract. Mix this with your hand or stand mixer very gently on low speed at first, and when you see that everything is combined, you can increase the speed at that point. Keep mixing this until you start to see soft peaks forming, and this will take a few minutes, so keep at it till you see that. Every time I make homemade whipped cream, my arm starts to hurt after a while of mixing this, but it is totally worth it in the end. And finally, we have stiff peaks formed, and you can stop now. If you go any further, you'll have homemade butter instead. I totally recommend that you make this at home rather than buying the pre-made one. Let's put the whipped cream on top of the cooled cake. Some of the milk is still on top, but most of it is absorbed inside the cake, so it's all good. Take the whipped topping and generously put it on top of the cake. And then with a cake spatula, flatten it out and create an even layer on top of the cake like I'm showing here. Now let's decorate it with the toasted coconut I made. This cake is also pretty rustic. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you can decorate it however you want, guys. And then I have some maraschino cherries, which gives it a classic Tres Leches look, like you would get in a restaurant. Place them how you want to. It's your cake, guys, and here you have it. Our homemade Tres Leches cake is all done. Then I'm gonna pour some of that milk on top because I always love a little extra milk on this cake. Here is the most perfect Tres Leches cake, guys. I absolutely love this dessert. It has to be on the top of my most favorite cakes for sure. I know this cake has a lot of different steps, but it is totally worth it to make at home for your family and friends. This will be great on your Ramadan table if you observe it, but also great all around the year for gatherings and parties. It can also be made to share with your loved ones for Valentine's Day. So I hope you enjoyed this one. So that is it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed my Tres Leches recipe. This is a great dessert for the Ramadan month or any time of the year. During Christmas, I actually made like 3 or 4 cakes for other people, for work, and even for my own house. I hope you guys enjoyed today's recipe. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe before leaving. I'll be seeing you in the next one, guys. Until then, take care of yourselves.